It is so great seeing my next guest finally make his UFC debut. He's going to be taking on Jacob Malkoun, UFC 271, February 12th. It is AJ Dobson joining me here on the program. AJ, how are you, sir?
Great. How you doing?
Doing awesome, but not as good as you, though, man. You're fighting, you're having your debut, I should say, on the same card as Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker. I know you probably wanted to have that debut a little bit sooner, but how cool is it you're a part of this card?
It's really cool. It's amazing to see, Izzy, Derek Brunson, see all the top middleweights. So it's definitely something to aspire to, look up to, and hopefully I'll be able to get in the cage with them soon.
You were supposed to fight, I think, last weekend, right? And then they moved the matchup. What was the reason for that? I don't know if that ever came out.
Yeah, well, what I'm thinking is because my opponent Jacob Malkoun is training partners with Rob Whittaker. I'm thinking
makes sense. Yeah, they wanted to put a package deal, put them on the same card, right? Yeah.
Which, hey, it's fine with me. It's gave me a little bit more time to prepare. So
now, if you would have had your choice, obviously you won, by the way, congrats on, winning the UFC contract, Contender Series, all that. If you had it your way, when would you have liked to have fought? I mean, we talked about all the great things about this card, but like I said, I'm sure you wanted to fight a bit sooner.
Yeah, well, they actually offered me a fight that weekend of the Contender Series, but I'd hurt my hand, so there's no way that could have happened. But in a perfect world, I would have made my debut that weekend. So
interesting.
I've been ready to go.
Do you know who you were supposed to fight on that card? I don't know if you're allowed to say, but I mean, you got an injury, so it's not like it's anyone turned anything down. So
I'm not sure who it was. I think it was a guy that's like I think he was from a different weight class and he was coming down. It was something kind of weird, like something had happened, but I'm not sure the guy's name, but
that's got to feel good, though. I mean, they were that impressed with you on the show to not only sign you to a contract, but they're like, we got to get this guy in the UFC right away. Did that make you at least feel good?
Yeah, maybe felt awesome. Maybe feel like, they really want to see me fight again, and they're excited about me. So I'm excited to get back in there.
Let's talk about your opponent here. You mentioned he's a teammate of Robert Whittaker's, 5-1 record, kind of a similar record to yours, right? I think you've got just a couple more fights. Did you know much about him before taking this fight?
Not too much. I looked up his fights and, looked up what he's about afterwards. And, he's a talented guy, good camp. But I think, kind of a bad matchup for him. So definitely excited.
Style-wise, how do you look at this fight? I mean, obviously he's with Whittaker, so, striking's got to be on point, but how do you look at this matchup?
I think he's gonna try to do the same thing that won him his first UFC fight. He's gonna try and close the distance, make it messy, do the takedowns, and drag me into deep water. So we're prepared for anything. I have a pretty all-around style. I can wrestle, I can strike, I can do jiu-jitsu, I can do whatever. So this is just another day of training for me.
I know there's always some jitters or, they talk about that stuff for, first UFC fight. How's it going to be, comparing to other things, but you got to go on Contender Series. So how much has that, sort of benefited you going into this fight, do you think? Because you already fought in front of Dana White, right?
Yeah. And I tell you what, that was probably the most nerve-wracking thing ever, because it's not like a regular UFC fight where you go out there and you just have to get a win. This one, Contender Series, you have to be exciting. You have to get a finish. You have to impress Dana. So I think it was a lot more pressure on me the last fight. This fight, of course, it's a lot of pressure because it's the debut, but it's not like I have to be super impressive just to get a contract or anything like that. I'm definitely going to try and be, impressive and push the pace and get some highlights, but it definitely takes that edge off that the Contender Series gave you.
And I talked about pressure there. Obviously, there's expectations when you're getting signed to the UFC and having that first UFC fight, but you just mentioned it there. He's Whittaker's teammate. Is there a little bit more pressure on him, do you think, just because of the fact that obviously he wants to look good for his teammate who's, fighting in the main event?
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever you're so closely tied to somebody like that, especially someone that's in the same weight class as you, you always want to stand out. So I think, that's kind of his thing. He's going to want to stand out. He's going to want to show people that his first fight was a fluke and everything like that. So I think there's definitely a lot more pressure on him than me.
They haven't released the betting odds yet. If I had to guess, he might be a favorite just because he has more UFC fights and he's a teammate of Whittaker's. Are you, I don't know if you're a betting guy at all. Do you think your buddies are going to bet on you just leading into the fight? Because again, when you look at who he's training with, a lot of people will kind of think, okay, well, he's Whittaker's teammate. He's got to win, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been the underdog for most of my career, so it's nothing new to me. I wouldn't really care if people have me losing. At the end of the day, only one other person has to come in the cage with me. So
yeah,
I don't really care about betting odds and whatever. I know what I bring to the table. I know what I can do. So I'm confident every time.
If someone wins a bet on you, they got to take you out for a steak dinner. That's the rule, right?
I would definitely take that up. That'd be amazing.
There you go. You got to remember that one for sure. Training camp. Who've been some of your main training partners for this camp leading into the fight?
Same training partners as usual. Matt Brown. We have Mark Coleman as the head coach. My other main training partner, Miles Robinson. He's been helping me out for years. So just pretty much the same thing. And then also when we go up to strong style, we have Alexa Kamer, who signed to the UFC as well. So there, and then all their fight team at strong style as well. So I have the same team that I've been using that's been building me up throughout my career. I haven't really changed anything different.
That's awesome. How much of an impact has Matt Brown had on your career? I mean, here's a guy that's still fighting in the UFC as long as he has, and he's still putting on exciting performances.
I mean, he's been probably my biggest influence. I've been training with him since I was an amateur. He's been, teaching me everything and showing me what it takes to get there and really, putting the battery in my back and letting me know that I belong in the UFC. So he's been instrumental in my development. I can't thank him enough, honestly.
Do you ever get him to crack a smile? He's a pretty serious guy. I find the only way, I interviewed him one time in person, and the only way I was able to get on his good side was we talked a little heavy metal music. That's like his sweet spot.
I'll tell you what, the Matt Brown that you see on TV is exactly the Matt Brown.
I know. Yeah. What you see is what you get. Yeah. I can attest to that too, just from the one interview I had, but yeah.
So that a good sparring session after we both empty the tank, he's definitely good for a couple laughs. So, but first you gotta pay in blood first.
Yeah. Well, and kind of on that note, Matt's a pretty serious guy. I imagine when you go in the gym, it's all business. Does that in a way kind of set a standard for the gym where it's like, you got to be on time. You got to make sure you do what you can, because you don't want to piss Matt Brown off of all people, right?
Absolutely. And I kind of base my my training regimen on him. Like, he is one of the hardest working guys I've ever met. The first time he brought me to his camp, I think he was fighting Mike Pyle. I got to witness just how much he grinds day in, day out. And it was such a revelation. I was like, oh, like, this is what you have to do. And he told me, everything you do, everything you eat, everything you watch has to be dedicated to this goal. So he's been a big influence on me and how I take to training.
And you mentioned Mark the Hammer Coleman. I think one thing that, has really just sort of inspired a lot of people over the last year is, I know he quit drinking, and he's been very proud of that and sort of getting it out there. How much of a change have you noticed from the coaching standpoint of just getting to work with him? And how much does that sort of inspire you as well in terms of just being able to overcome adversity?
You know what? He's such a professional that I honestly didn't really notice too much that he was that bad with drinking. I kind of found out that he was, that far gone when he had to go to rehab. Every time he showed up to the gym, it was always business. He was always, giving me advice, telling me what to do, keeping it very professional. So, that's inspiration in itself. Like, he was dealing with so many demons and so many things that, take people down. And he was able to, be selfless and still be a good teacher to me. So yeah. Definitely something I'm very appreciative of. And I'm happy that he's on the right path, and he's looking healthier and healthier every day. So. Oh, yeah.
And on that note, will him or Matt be in your corner for this fight, or both of them? Who's going to be in the cage with you that night?
Well, Matt, he's rescheduled for March, so he's still in training. Right. Coleman will be in my corner, and then also Miles Robinson, my training partner, will be there as well.
Oh, very cool. Okay, yeah, glad they rebooked that fight, by the way, with Barberena, right? That's who he's fighting. I think that's a really exciting matchup for the fans, right? So
fighting hard too. I think that's probably why he was so susceptible to getting COVID, because he was pushing it really, really, really hard. So I'm definitely excited for this one for him.
And we got a few weeks, obviously. How's the weight cut going? Got to ask. I know you're a professional. You always make it on the mark, but how are things going ahead of the fight?
The weight cut is super easy for me. I used to be a weight, so I had to deal with, having a 6-pack, 8-pack abs, and I got, I'm at 178. I got 8 more pounds to cut. So I've had to deal with that crap. So now I've gotten it to a T at 185. I'm, maybe 10 pounds over, you know what I mean? So I get to eat really good today and rehydrate and everything like that. So weight cut will be no issue at all. I usually start my weight cut kind of early. Like, I start cleaning up my diet like 4 to 6 weeks prior to the fight, just so I don't have to, do anything crazy. So weight cut is not even an issue.
I know you feel like you're going to have your hand raised. Otherwise, why sign the contract? But how do you envision the fight playing out on February 12th?
Honestly, I think there's so many ways I can finish this fight. There's so many ways this fight can go. The main thing I'm going to do is stick to the basics. I know my last fight, I had to be exciting, and I had to, kind of, impress everybody and show that I'm willing to fight and I can bite down on my mouthpiece and swing. So I think this one I'll probably take my time a little bit more, stay behind the jab, and then, just kind of see what he gives me, because he's a little bit shorter. He's 5'9", so he's gonna have to either shoot in blindly or close the distance somehow. So I'll pick something up from there.
Ideal timeline for this year, 3 fights. What are you kind of looking at for the rest of the year? I'm sure you're a guy who sets goals and wants to, accomplish certain things this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to be as active as possible. My main goal would be amazing if I can get out of this one clean and then fight in March with Matt in Columbus. That would be amazing. I want to be as active as possible, as long as I'm not injured and as long as everything is good to go. I want to fight as soon as possible. Get rid of this rookie contract as fast as possible and get some experience. So definitely want to keep that.
Okay. And before we get out of here, we talked all about fighting. What are some of your other hobbies outside of MMA? I don't know if you watch any other sports, if you're a Netflix guy, if you play any video games. What is AJ Dobson like doing outside of combat sports?
Well, I started a business. I started a health and wellness business. I got injured in 2018 and I needed to find a way to kind of get myself back on track without, doing anything illegal or anything like that. So so I founded a health and wellness business, and one of the first products we have is CMOS. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of CMOS.
I haven't. Let's get the quick sales pitch.
Yeah. So CMOS is pretty much seaweed, and it has 92 of the 102 minerals that our body is made up of. So there's a wide variety of health benefits. One of the biggest ones for me in a mixed martial artist, combat sports, is the inflammation and joint pain that it comforts. I had a bucket handle meniscus tear on my knee that required surgery. And instead of getting the surgery, I just took CMOS and I was able to do my strength conditioning, and I got back to full strength. Like I was able to do like freakishly strong stuff, like a Russian leg curl with a 45-pound weight. So like I was able to get back to over 100%. So it's definitely something that's taken my time. I'm actually going to do some work on it after this interview.
Good stuff. That's cool, man. You got something on the side as well. And I'm sure as well, it probably eases the pressure of fighting, because it's not like you need, like you have other sources of income coming in, which is cool. And just to clarify, is this CMOS thing, is this ingestible or is it topical? How do you use it?
So you can if you have a rash, you can put it on the rash and it'll get rid of the rash. You can put it on your face as a face mask, in your hair, in your beard, in oatmeal, stovetop meals. Take it, put it in a hot liquid. So you can use it pretty much in anything. So I just take a spoonful every morning and then a spoonful at night, and just stay consistent on it. But it's been a life-changing thing for me, and a big help in my career. So that's something I want to spread to all of combat sports for sure.
I love it. No, that's cool. I mean, it's we're always looking for natural things. Often we've had a whole decade of people pushing pills and all that stuff. So it's cool to hear something natural. I know CBD has been making a big push too, but this is the first I've heard of this. So I'm actually quite interested myself. I have to go check it out. So
yeah, and I'll bring some to the fight too. I'm gonna bring as much as I can. So
there you go. Spread the word. AJ, thanks so much for doing this, man. You mentioned it there. You got a lot going on. It's UFC 271, February 12th. There's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media you want to plug, I'll give you the last word.
I just want to thank all my teammates, Immortal Martial Arts Center, Westside Barbell, Strong Style. Everybody follow iMosh, i.mosh_, to find out more about CMOS, and find out more about my business and all of our up and coming products. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Tune in.